Today I'm going to share 10 tips for editors to get a job in the film industry. Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Apiti. Welcome. Let's get into today's vlog. Let's not waste any time. Let's go to tip number one. Okay, so I've got my notes here, so I'm going to look down and refer to my notes. So tip number one is to build a strong portfolio. And okay, so let me just preface this by saying this advice is coming from somebody who is a producer, director, writer, and production designer in the film industry. I've been working in the film industry for the last 5 years. However, I'm just starting new as a producer, director, and production designer. Those 3 jobs are new for me. I've only been doing those directing and producing for about just over a year, and I've only been doing production design for just under a year. So as a new producer out there, I have started building my networking base and my contacts for each position in the industry. And when I reached out to the editors, I noticed a lot of different things when they would send me their resumes. So this advice or suggestions, or take it as you may, is coming from a new producer in the film industry. So number one is to build a strong portfolio. And I notice a lot of people have strong portfolios, meaning there's a lot of stuff in there. But if you're being considered for a specific thing or specific job in the industry, or a specific subsector of the industry, then you should definitely make sure that your resume or the materials that you send from your portfolio reflect that. So for example, I like to look for editors who have experience with short films and documentaries and features, mostly short films and features, and then of course documentaries as well. But when you get into short films and features, that's where it gets, I find, to be a lot more intricate with the editing. So that's when you need to get a lot more specific. And then not only am I looking for experience with short films, features, and documentaries, but I'm also looking for people who have experience with picture editing, sound editing, and color editing. Now, you don't need to have experience with all 3, but it would be good to have at least one of the 3, and having more than one of the 3 is great too. But as long as each one that you are doing you're good at and you're passionate about, I think that's the most important thing. So it's good to have a really strong portfolio because you'll stand out from everybody else. Make sure it's organized pretty well and it clearly shows what you did for each of the work that you're showing. So if you edited the entire movie and you did picture, sound, and color, then you should note that. And if you only did color, you should note that. If you only did sound from this time to this time, then you should note that. You should note what work you did as an editor and be very specific, so the potential employer doesn't have to ask you all those questions. It's already there laid out, or you already have the information ready to share with them. I think that's really important. I think a lot of people could get overlooked because they just don't have the resume out, or they don't have the materials out, or the materials aren't reflecting for the position that they're applying for or could potentially be applying for. So that is number one. Number 2 is to network with other editors. But of course, don't just network with other editors. Network with everybody in the industry. Network with producers. Network with actors. Network with whoever you can that you think you can build a community with within the film industry. And you can always refer each other when you hear of positions that come about. And that goes the same with your fellow editors, because not every editor is doing the same thing as you. A lot of editors have a different style than you. Each editor should have their own unique style. So you might be a picture editor and you might know some color editors or some sound editors, so you can always refer each other back work all the time if somebody's looking for something specific. And then if you don't fit that, then you can recommend somebody who you know that does. Number 3 is to stay on top of industry trends and software tools. It's good to know what's the latest of the latest. Even if you don't own that specific software, at least know what people are working with and what the latest trends are. I think will help you stay on the forefront of knowledge and information so that you can produce, relevant work that's in the now. Yeah, number 4 is to consider some freelance programs where you might do a little bit of work for free as you're trying to build experience. And there's also some other advice that I want to get into regarding like volunteer projects, but we'll get into that in tip number 9. So yeah, number 6 is to customize your resume for each job. So if you're applying for to be an editor for a short film and they ask to see your resume and your demo reel, and if you only have one short film and a bunch of if you only have one short film and like a bunch of documentaries, don't just try to throw the short film in and mix it in with the documentaries to make it look like you have all this experience and all this work, because that's great. But editing documentaries is a lot different than editing short films, narrative films, scripted films. And so it's important to be clear on how much experience you have with that specific thing. And if they want to know more about your other work with other stuff like documentaries and such, then you can elaborate on that. But if you've only done one short film or one feature or just one feature or one short, one feature, like whatever it is that you've done, just be honest about it. It's okay if it's only one project, and that will show how much experience you have, but it also can give the potential employer a realistic idea of how much experience you have. And if you are honest about what your experience actually is, they're more likely to take you on, because they'll know you'll be a hard worker and that you'll be eager to learn. So it can't hurt you to be honest and just be clear, or just don't try to cover up for the fact that, I only have one, and it's okay. Just share that one that you have, and it will work for you, and your other experience will help you as well. But don't let it overshadow that experience that you have. That's not a lot if that's the job that you're applying for. So number 6 is to attend workshops, webinars, and conferences. It's important to always be learning, always updating your skills, and there's no reason why you can't check out a workshop here and there, even if it's online and you can't always make it in person, but just to make the effort to learn new skills and learn new information in your community of editors. Number 7 is to reach out to potential employers. Don't wait for someone to come to you to hire you with work. Go out and find the employers and negotiate for those jobs and get some work. Go ahead and contact those employers yourself and negotiate a job for yourself or a gig for yourself, and just go out and get the work. Sometimes you will have people refer you, and sometimes you might be offered a job, but the best way to get the hustle and flow going and to get work opportunities moving for yourself is to go out and get them yourself. And you might want to do a little bit of research first as to the type of businesses that have a need for your type of editing, but definitely be proactive about reaching out to people and not just waiting for people to contact you about employment. Number 8 is to have some visuals to show your work. And even if you've showed your demo reel or whatever materials that you've shown your potential employer in your submission package, don't be afraid to bring that to the interview or to reference it in the interview, or to even bring up new materials of work that you've worked on. There's nothing can hurt when you're showing visuals of your work, because it really helps for the employer to be able to see what your style is and what your personal style is and how they think it will benefit their project and how well they think the collaboration can work with your creativity combined with their creativity and their project. It definitely can't hurt, so it's a good idea to have as much visual representation of your portfolio and things that you've worked on so that you can best represent yourself. So number 9, as I was talking earlier about volunteer positions, so you might want to consider some internships and to take on some volunteer work. Now, I know it's really hard, regardless if you've just graduated school or if you're very well established in the industry, to take on volunteer work, because you don't want to be just working for free all the time. You want to be able to build and grow and have a business as an entrepreneur, as a self-employed person in your job as an editor. There's so many factors into why a person would choose you as their editor, and it's not always based off of how much experience you have. I mean, yes, it's important to have experience, but sometimes somebody could have a lot of experience but not a lot of experience in the area that they're being considered for a job. For example, someone could have a lot of experience making documentaries, but they might not have editing documentaries, but they might not have as much experience. They might not have as much experience editing short films, or they might not have as much experience editing features, and that's okay. But considering possibly creating something small, even if you're not doing like a paid gig, or there's a volunteer gig and it's not paid. It could be something where maybe you're creating something that might not even be used, and maybe it's just like 30 seconds or a minute. I wouldn't do anything too crazy or something that required too much of your extra time. But if you have the time, regardless if you're a recent graduate or if you are well established in the industry or anywhere in between, if you have time and maybe your potential employer or somebody networking with you has expressed to you that they're not sure, they might see that you're very talented, but they might not be sure if your style will translate to a good collaboration with them, you might want to consider doing something volunteer for them, which is just maybe a small little video, 30 seconds to a minute, in the genre of the project that they are working on, because it can give them a direct visual representation of what you can do. You can throw your little creativity into it. And I wouldn't think of it so much as, like, for example, a 30 second to a minute. The reason why I say 30 seconds to a minute is because a year ago when I started film school, I didn't know how to edit. And then now a year later, I know how to I have basic editing skills. And I remember in our last couple weeks, they asked us to make trailers, 30 seconds to 1 minute trailer. And I remember that it wasn't that challenging in terms of time to create the trailer. The challenge would come more so with adding creative elements and effects to the trailer. So it's not so, hopefully you don't see it so much as like, oh, I can't do free work. Hopefully you think of it more as, hey, this is a great opportunity for me to show how creative I am, so that when they do have that paid gig, I'm the first person on their mind and they're gonna call me because I took the time out of my day to create something personal so they could see exactly what they'll be getting. Because a lot of the times when you're looking at an editor's resume and we're looking at an editor's works, you don't really know what you're gonna get. Like, you know, if somebody has a lot of experience, that you're gonna get somebody that's hardworking, but it's still a risk to take to hire somebody who you don't really know exactly what you're gonna get with the final product. So I don't have to take my suggestion, but it's just a suggestion of a possible way to just show what you got without being too extra in terms of, you don't have to spend crazy amounts of time, but you can do something really creative to show your personal style, and it will really help you to stand out amongst all of the other editors. And that's just a suggestion. And yeah, that brings me to number 10, which is don't be afraid to take on challenging projects. Don't be afraid to try new things, and don't be afraid to push yourself as an editor and your creative style to just, try something different than what you are used to trying. And maybe you can't always experiment with that when you're doing a paid project because somebody is asking you for something specific or along specific lines. But in your free time, don't be afraid to play around with some video footage content of your own and just, try some new effects and try to learn a new skill, because if you're always adding on new skills and refreshing your skills, it's always going to be beneficial to you and to your career and to your portfolio and to the projects that you create. And of course, a lot of these things that I'm talking about can be applied to any industry. They can be applied to a lot of different areas about how you can find success in finding a job in the industry that you work in. But I wanted to make this video specific to the film industry since I've been working in the film industry for the last 5 years now. So I wanted to make this video for the film industry folks, and I wanted to make it specifically for the editors because I've been just building my editors database lately. But of course, anybody can watch this video and apply it to their industry as well. And yeah, thank you so much for watching the video today. I hope you enjoyed it. I look forward to hearing from you. If you have any comments or questions, please drop a comment below in the comments. Drop a comment below. And yeah, thank you. Stay tuned. I look forward to making more content. And thank you so much for watching. This has been great. Hope you have a great day. And bye.